been a few days since we did a West Ham transfer rumour show. I've been busy moaning about the season tickets for concessions, but I thought today we could get stuck into all the gossip surrounding the Hammers and see what the latest is on Guilherme. We've got a couple of big price centre-backs linked to West Ham, new names in the last couple of days, a big goalkeeper. There's one player who's been linked to us I really do not want to see at West Ham next season, but there's also this transfer rumour that won't go away, and I'm really warming to it, and I've got to the point now where I'm hoping it actually happens, and it's kind of down to some of you lot. Now, we've got all that coming up in today's show, but if you're new around here, please do subscribe and drop a like on the video as well by clicking the thumbs up. Also, if you have any ideas for content over the next few weeks, please do get in touch. During the summer and international breaks, myself and Gonzo like to collect your ideas. It could be questions, subjects, topics. Please email us, hammerschat@gmail.com, because we like to collect your ideas and we pinch a couple of them and start creating content because of some of you guys. So get in touch. Anything is appreciated. Right then, Guilherme, what's the latest? The latest is he's in London as planned. He got the British Airways plane over yesterday, landed today in London. Medical booked for tomorrow, which is Tuesday and Wednesday. So hopefully by the end of the week, Tim Steidten will have his first signing of the summer, signed, sealed and delivered ahead of Lopetegui beginning as head coach on the 1st of July. So this could be big news for West Ham. Now that's the main part, that's the most important part. Guilherme looks likely to be our first signing. €30 million, so I think we're paying 19.5 million plus add-ons worth 6.5 million plus a 20% sell-on clause. So a big deal, a big transfer, this one for West Ham. What I find intriguing is he had to get a British Airways plane, no private jet for this one, which makes me think now maybe Tim's just on the plane. Now, hey, maybe the cost of living crisis has finally got to West Ham. Maybe this is why they're starting to put the prices up for the concessionary season tickets. They need to fund Tim's private jet. But it just makes me intrigued. Maybe Tim hasn't travelled with Guilherme. He's still back in Brazil, which would indicate perhaps that he's not finished, that this won't be the only business from the Brazilian league that we do this summer. My hunch is it will be. We'll sign Guilherme and that's it. Plattenberg earlier today did an update saying that our pursuit of Fabrizio Bruno is basically dead. There was something agreed. Saudi came in, players' demands changed at the last minute and has put us right off. But maybe there will be one more signing from Brazil. However, my suspicion at this point is it will be Guilherme and Guilherme only. But maybe Tim is still over there trying to get something else done. Now moving on to a current West Ham player in Nayef Aguerd. West Ham apparently have slapped a 30 million price tag on Aguerd, and if someone wants him, that's what they can pay for him. He supposedly still wants out of the club despite there being a change of manager, and that is our asking price, 30 million. We want to recoup what we have paid for him. I think this is sensible from West Ham. I like this. I've always been quite critical of how we run away when somebody shows interest in our players. We've done it in the past where a club will get linked to one of our players and it's leaked from a top source, not for sale at any price. Well, that's just not true, is it? Right? Would you reject 200 million? No, you wouldn't. Right now we've agreed you will sell the player. He's no longer not for sale at any price, so let's now negotiate, right? So with that in mind, I've always thought I'd like us to be stronger at selling players. I was impressed with what we've done with Declan Rice, how we approached the Lucas Paqueta thing, and to put a price tag of 30 million on the Aguerd and say, there's the price, Aguerd, you can leave if you want, but that is the price. I think this is the right mentality and the right approach from the club. Whether anyone pays it or not, we'll have to wait and see. My suspicion is they won't. But he's linked again to Atletico Madrid, so perhaps there is something in that rumour. Now moving on to potential replacements, and this is where the two new names come in. The first one is Jake O'Brien. Don't think he's related to Joey. Haven't checked that. I've looked at Jake O'Brien, but I didn't check if he's related to Joey. Just assumed he's not. But he is an Irish international. Made his debut just this week, I think, for Ireland. But he plays for Lyon. I had a little look. So he was at Crystal Palace, went out on loan to Belgium for the season. Never played for Crystal Palace's first team. Made plenty of appearances for the under-21s and played in Premier League 2. Went to Belgium on loan. Joined Lyon last summer for €1 million. Struggled to get into the team. When they signed him, Blanc was the manager, and he basically said, he basically said, who is this guy? He might as well have just said that. He said, well, third choice centre back maybe, no point coming if he's fourth choice. Didn't get a game under Blanc. Blanc got sacked. Then he got into the team. New guy got sacked, and then Sage took over, and he's stayed in the team. Missed one game through suspension. Was their second top goal scorer, right? Second top goal scorer with 4 goals. Only Lacazette scored more than him last season, so he's a threat at set pieces, but only scored 4. He's been linked to West Ham at the minute. 23-year-old, just turned 23, centre back, but the price tag attached to him is quite a hefty one of 30 million. Now, I'd be lying if I said I'd ever heard of him, but I'd imagine there might be a few of our Irish subscribers that do know about him, so please do get involved in the comments below. But 30 million just feels a bit bulky for someone who's only done it for one season in a strong league. I'm not trying to dismiss the Belgian one, because he did play regular over there. I think I'd like to see more on his CV. Had a look at his statistics in terms of Football Reference. They're not, I mean, his attacking statistics are very good. In 98th percentile were non-penalty goals, as you'd expect. But the defensive ones don't look too good. But I always find defenders hard to sort of read in terms of data like that, because you have to take in playing style into consideration for that, I think. So Jake O'Brien is one player being linked with, as well as Udinese centre back Nehuen Perez. Now he's just turned 20. He turns 24 soon. So Jake O'Brien has just turned 23. Perez is 23. Will turn 24 very, very soon in the next few weeks. We're being linked to him, Argentinian centre back, although he's not in the Argentina squad for Copa America. I had a little bit of a read up. His statistics are impressive though on Football Reference. The defensive side of his game really strong. But again, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I've heard of him. I've never heard of this guy until today. Shame on me, I know, but I'm going to endeavour to start to read. I'm not going to start watching Italian, French and Spanish football. It's not happening. I don't have time, okay? But I endeavour to perhaps read more about these. I've started reading and watching videos on Thiago Motta, for example. I'm learning. Bologna caught my eye with how good they've done, but also they've got Lewis Ferguson, haven't they? So there's a little bit of an interest there from me. I endeavour to give it a year. We'll be linked to a centre-back from Italy, and I'll be able to say, I've heard of this guy, and I'll be able to tell you why. But that's 2 centre-backs we're linked with, so if you know anything about them, get involved. And we're linked with another player from Serie A, someone we all heard of, and that's Tammy Abraham. And this is a transfer I do not want to see happen. And there's nothing against Tammy Abraham as a player. Once upon a time, I'd have loved to have seen him at West Ham. But once upon a time, we were in the bottom half of the Premier League. We were sort of in relegation battles a few seasons ago. We've moved, I mean, 2 seasons ago we're in a relegation battle. Maybe I'm a bit arrogant. I don't see us being in a relegation battle next season. I think at worst, 12th, 13th in the league at worst, right? At best, knocking on the door of European football. I think we'll be in the middle third of the Premier League comfortably. Abraham is a good striker, right? But I want better than that. I want an excellent striker at West Ham, because Antonio is a good player. The only thing against Antonio, bar his technique, is his age. His injury record's been pretty good, but I want somebody that's going to come in and displace him. I'm not saying Abraham couldn't, but here's the biggest issue. First of all, he's 25 million. Second one, he missed 95% of last season through injury. He got an ACL injury in June last year, and he only came back in April last season. You cannot. That's a we're now into gamble territory here. With, is he over it? Can he go on and become the same player again? He picked up a handful of appearances for Roma at the end of the season, but they're looking to offload him for 25 million and sign Jonathan David. Big no for me. Like I said, I'm not saying he's a bad player. I think it's a bad deal. It's an unnecessary gamble. He's also linked to Aston Villa and Leicester City. Now, Leicester City, I'd say they could gamble on Tammy Abraham, because they're going to need somebody to score goals. I know Vardy's just signed a new deal. Iheanacho's left the club on a free transfer, but they can gamble. They're in a different situation. While I think we'll be in the middle third, I think Leicester City will be in the bottom third of the Premier League next season. Tammy Abraham, it's not for me. There's better strikers out there and less riskier transfers out there as well. Moving on to Carlos Miguel, a goalkeeper in Brazil, 6'8". 6'8" goalkeeper for Corinthians, 25 years old. We were linked to him last week. He's supposed to be in sort of strong negotiations, like final stages of a transfer to Nottingham Forest. We were linked to him. I don't believe this. I don't believe it for a second. Why would we spend any money on the goalkeeper? We're not going to. The only way we're going to do that is if one of Fabianski or Areola are leaving. There's absolutely no rumours, no evidence to suggest either of them are leaving. So I'm assuming, and I think it's a fair assumption, that both of them are going to be here next season. Yes, we will need a third keeper if Trott is off ski. But spending any money on a third choice keeper is a bad idea unless it's someone young. You could argue that 25 years old is young for a goalkeeper. I just don't believe this one. I think we're more likely to go down with Wes Foderingham. So Carlos Miguel, I don't believe it. I think it's possibly agent talk to try and hurry up the Nottingham Forest deal. In regards to Wes Foderingham, I'm still convinced we signed him. He's very, very sporadically linked to us in the last few days, saying that it could be done on the 1st of July. It just feels like it's going to happen. His contract ends with Sheffield United at the end of this month. Free transfer. It's one of them, we'll have to wait and see. But he's being linked to West Ham again. Alex Garcia is the player I'm getting excited for. Former Man City midfielder, now in Spain. We're being linked to him. And the latest is the same as it was a few days ago, which is this is a Lopetegui pick. It's not a Steiden pick. It's a Lopetegui one. He is the one that wants Alex Garcia. And I'm a big fan of the way the business model's changed over and Steiden's leading it. But I think it's still important that the head coach has a say. It can be just Steiden players. But I think I'm all for Lopetegui having a say. Not the final say. That's what, maybe I'll do, actually, you know what? I'll do a video about this one. But anyway, Alex Garcia is a yes for me. And a lot of you have been bigging him up in his last video when I spoke about him for the first time, saying that this guy is a really good centre midfielder. Doing a little bit of reading about him as well. It's got my hopes up a bit because I think another centre midfielder at the club next season would be wise. I hope to see us get somebody in, not Dennis. And it's such a low transfer fee of 16 million that if we want to balance the books, we could do that by offloading one of Flynn Downs, Thomas Souček, James Ward-Prowse. Now, I'm not saying Ward-Prowse goes for only 16 million. My point is, and I'm not saying I want either of them to go. I'm not telling you which is my preference. It's Thomas Souček. But, listen, again, I'm not going to justify why it would be Souček. I've done that in previous videos, right? My point was, if we were to get Alex Garcia in, to balance the books, there's 3 centre midfielders there. And you know what? Add in Edson Alvarez. There's 4 centre midfielders currently on the books at West Ham we could sell that would comfortably replace the money we've just spent on Alex Garcia. And it's one of them. I'm starting to believe this rumour quite a lot, actually. Moving on to the last one, which is Ben Johnson. The talk is that he might actually sign a new contract with West Ham. Obviously, we know the club themselves have confirmed they're negotiating with Ben Johnson and Divine Mubama. I'll be honest with you, it'd be nice to see Mubama stick around. But it doesn't feel as important as it did a year ago. If he does sign, I hope we see him next season. I hope he gets a chance. But Ben Johnson, I think, would just be a wise... And he splits opinion. I know there'll be people in the live chat. You do a whole show with all these players we're linked to. And it'll be the Ben Johnson one. And they're right to. By the way, I'm not saying they shouldn't. They'll say he's not a good enough player, etc. I've always been on the side of the fence. I think he is a Premier League player. I think he's very versatile, which I think is his issue. I think that's prevented him having a long period in the team. But I think signing him up now, worst case scenario, we give Ben Johnson a chance. We get him a year under Lopetegui. And at the end of it, between him and Steiden, they go, it's not working out for him. You'd be able to sell them and get money for them next season. I think it makes sense just tying Ben Johnson up. Also, if we were to qualify for European football next year for 25/20, it makes you feel old when you start doing things in years. Like when I saw the fact that Guilherme signed a contract till 2029, I thought, what? And I thought, hang on, it's only 5 years. That's not that long. 2029 feels 10 years away, but it's only 5. That makes sense? Probably not. Anyway, with Ben Johnson, sign him for a year. If it doesn't work out, what you sell him for would cover his wages for the next 12 months. I just think it just makes sense signing up Ben Johnson for a further year. Anyway, there you go. That's your latest West Ham transfer rumours. Please get in touch if you've got any ideas for content, though. If you've sent us to them in the past and we haven't done them, send them again. There's usually a reason we don't do them, because sometimes people say your all-time West Ham 11. We've done it in the past, but saying that, it was probably about 4 years ago we did it. So I guess we could do an updated version. Has anything changed? It has for me, actually. There's one player I'd put in it now that I didn't back then. So get in touch with your content ideas, hammerschat@gmail.com. We'll be kicking off the Euros content on this channel later this week. We'll be doing previews of the tournament, previews of the games individually as well. I'll be back tomorrow with my podcast with Frankie. We'll be doing that tomorrow as well. Patrons, please log in, because we've got our Fantasy League tournament up and running. We've got a signed shirt for the winner of Fantasy League. We've got a signed shirt for the winner of Prediction League. And we've got a signed book for the runners-up of both. Plus, if you're an addict, you'll get a signed Julian Dix print as well on top of whatever else you've won. Anyway, I'm going to disappear. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to Hammer Chat. Catch you tomorrow.